All right, guys, we've got some interesting news and some interesting predictions to look at as it comes to potential rate cuts in the United States that could be absolutely critical for the potential bull run late Q3, early Q4. The predictions that I've seen from many people, if you look at the 4 year cycle, whether or not you still believe in it, we are maintaining the idea that Bitcoin, whether it's 150K, whether it's 200K, 220K, it will have a major run sometime within the fall to late fall, maybe even into the early winter months. And then the alts will follow like they normally always do. There's going to be a major inflow into the altcoins. Right now, the dominance is almost at the point to where we should start seeing a reversal. And we know what could certainly help the bull run could be the rate cuts. Jerome Powell, the head of the Fed, is not liked by Donald Trump, the current US president. Donald Trump has said many times now they are putting serious public pressure on Powell, who will be gone. His term ends in May of 2026, which obviously is potentially after, if you look at the 4 year cycle, the bull run. So we would want Powell to either cut rates multiple times before then, whether it's an emergency cut, whether it's through the meetings on July 30th, on September 8th, or Powell is going to have to be publicly pressured out. Donald Trump, as the US president, cannot physically remove, or I guess it wouldn't be done physically, but he cannot, through his executive authority, remove Powell. It has to go through Congress. They have to have an investigation, find some type of issue with Powell, and obviously Powell does not like Trump. A lot of this is political. Donald Trump came in January. If you look at the true inflation, it's gone down. It's at 1.75. The core inflation, the target that the Fed wants is 2.0. It's at 2.4, but it's been very stagnant. Powell has said, well, because of the current situation with the tariffs, now Trump imposes more tariffs on these countries, maybe temporarily until August 1st. That's a reason why you can't cut, because the tariffs could be inflationary. Well, they have not been inflationary, and now Trump and people within in his administration are getting very angry that the rate cuts, which will stimulate the economy when they come, are not happening right now. The economy could use a boost. They are also potentially going to use the whole idea of, well, considering the unemployment numbers are lower, that's another reason why we don't have to cut rates. If you look at the FedWatch CME current projection, so you can see the next meeting, it is July 30th. So the July 30th meeting, they say there's a 95% chance the rates are not changing. So they're staying in between the 4.25 and 4.5%. That is the interest rates. The meeting on the 17th, that is when you start to see movement. Now, I will say, if you look at this watch tool over the past few months, the watch tool originally projected there to be rate cuts with this July meeting, and maybe even if I remember correctly, I was looking at this back in March, and the June meeting said there was about a 70% chance of a 0.25 cut, and we haven't seen it. Now they're saying, well, maybe if you look at the September 17th meeting, which now you're getting at that point late into Q3, they're saying, well, there's a 63% chance, or I guess a 66% chance there's at least going to be a cut of 0.25. There's a 3% chance there's going to be a cut of 0.50. And then if you move to late October, right before Halloween, they're saying there should definitely be at least one, maybe two cuts by late October. And then you go later into Q4, you're looking at around, right now is what they're predicting, 2 to 3 total cuts between now and the end of the year. So it's encouraging. And if you look at the betting says the same thing on Polymarket, where you can bet on what the interest rate is going to be at the next meeting. And there's always the chance that they do an emergency cut, but it's probably unlikely. And Trump is likely not going to tone down this rhetoric on Powell anytime soon. I wouldn't expect it. And so it'll be interesting to see if they can publicly pressure Powell out. Is there a potential way to look into some nefarious action that Powell has taken in the name of partisanship? Because you're supposed to be bipartisan, and we know that Powell cut by 0.5 back in September. And you can say, well, those cuts were good. He should have done it. The problem is, he cut with a higher inflation rate back in September. And now we've got a stagnant inflation rate. We've got Trump printing less money, and we still have no cuts from Powell because he says, well, Trump has this new tariff policy that Biden didn't have. And so it's this new variable to where maybe it could be inflationary. And technically, yes, tariffs can be inflationary. But as Trump has demonstrated over the past few months, based on the strategical implementation of the tariffs, it hasn't been inflationary. And if anything, the tariffs, because of the whopper size amount that originally went on Liberation Day, they affected the market in such a negative way. The tariffs probably helped the inflation rate go down initially when you've got that much market turmoil, and we haven't really seen the inflation rate tick back up significantly since then. And yeah, Trump, in terms of the truflation, has helped significantly buy the energy, which is not included in core inflation, but still, this is something to where, can they pressure Powell out, or are they going to force Powell, at least by September? We need a rate cut by September. September is the go time for crypto, you would think, at least into the winter, the way it's setting up. It's very similar to the 2017 bull run, maybe a little bit earlier than that. The 2017 bull run, we saw Bitcoin take off. Really, it had its month in December, and then the alts had their dominance in January. The altcoin dominance is almost at the all-time low to where we're going to start seeing it trek up again. I think it has one more leg down, unfortunately. We might see a little bit of a rally over the next few weeks and then one leg down, and then it goes back. It starts creeping back up. There's going to be more and more money flow into the alts, the layer ones, the AI projects, the meme coins, which have been able to, a lot of these meme coins have retraced significantly. Now they're starting to kick up again. And so this is something that'll be interesting to look at, but what we want is the way it's setting up. It's late Q3, it's early Q4. You could get Bitcoin have its time, and Bitcoin may develop differently in terms of its bull market, just because the volatility of it's going to decrease. There's a lot of mainstream adoption of Bitcoin with the ETFs, with a lot of countries now creating strategic reserves, holding 2-3% of Bitcoin, the United States doing it. Bitcoin is probably going to be able to retain a lot of its value. I don't see a big retracement from Bitcoin. Let's say it goes to 150K. I don't see it going ever back under 100K this bull cycle. Now, some people say, well, it'll go to 200, and it's possible, but it does already have a market cap over 2 trillion. So you have to wonder. And yes, gold's market cap is 22 trillion. We call Bitcoin digital gold. You could consider Bitcoin, even though it's not a physical asset, you could consider Bitcoin even better than gold because it cannot go up in supply. It can only decrease in supply by burning. And gold, more gold gets found every year. So that's another thing to take into account. So I think when we look at this with the CME tool, with Polymarket, factoring all of it in, we get 2, maybe 3 rate cuts. If they can somehow remove Powell, they might go crazy, and we might have an interest rate going into 2026 of 3.0%, which is considering about 5 rate cuts, if you factor in one rate cut being 0.25. So that's something that might happen. Imagine that. So this is all interesting to take into account when you think about it. Trump says, this is coming out today, but Trump has said this like 10 times now with Powell. It's public pressure on Powell to either cut, emergency cut, or the July 30th meeting cut. And they want to cut by 0.5, I can pretty much guarantee you, from where it is right now. They want it to be 3.75. That's the next level they want. They don't want a 0.25 cut, they want a 0.5 cut. So it's either a public pressure campaign to get Powell out. Trump cannot just say, Powell, you're done. He can suggest it to Congress, but it does have to go through Congress. They have to find something nefarious with Powell, and that's the way it's done. So this is all stuff we're going to have to see play out. With crypto, think about it. There's a crypto week coming up with all the stuff. You guys know about the Stablecoin Act. It's called the Genius Bill, the Genius Act. There's other things. They're normalizing cryptocurrency, at least normalizing Bitcoin and a lot of the higher alts. Look at Trump's own World Liberty Financial. They're releasing a coin. They have been buying up Ethereum. They've been buying up Bitcoin, obviously. And so even if it is just the boomer coins, you were getting the boomers involved. And so it's this change of this administration and how much they like crypto, and everything culminating with this crazy bull run, maybe even an extended bull run we could see. Nobody really knows. This is totally foreign. We talk about 2017, 2021, now 2025, but there's so much more with crypto in 2025. Yes, there's more dilution because of the amount of coins in circulation, but it could be an extended bull run, maybe similar to 2021 with a double top. I hope it just goes crazy, and a lot of these alts run, and we you know, it's just different because now it's so mainstream. So we'll see what happens, but I'm just saying this is potentially great news. If Powell either gets publicly pressured to do an emergency rate cut, drops rates 2 or 3 times minimum, I want 3 rate cuts really by that October meeting. Now I don't know if they're going to do that because you know you've got the July meeting, which is basically August, July 30th. You have the early September meeting, and then you've got basically Halloween meeting, which is like late October. So I want it to be like a 3.5 interest rate by that Halloween meeting. What the problem is Trump has recently upped tariffs, so is Powell going to use that as an excuse not to? I mean, you know, are we still going to do this stuff with the tariffs and use it as, I don't know. We'll have to see. But either way, guys, make sure you like the video down below. That's going to do it for this one.